The dinner rush at Grandview Luxury Hotel was always intense, but tonight felt even more demanding than usual. Under sparkling crystal chandeliers and golden lighting, the hotel's flagship restaurant was packed with elite guests, business executives closing deals, wealthy tourists celebrating anniversaries, and social influencers capturing every moment for attention. Soft piano music floated through the air, blending with the sound of clinking glasses, expensive laughter, and whispered conversations about money, success, and status. At the center of this controlled chaos stood Isabella Grant, the 60-year-old CEO of Grant Hospitality Group. She was known across the industry as sharp, uncompromising, and nearly impossible to impress. Tonight, she wasn't just observing, she was conducting a surprise operational review, watching every detail of service, cleanliness, and staff behavior. One mistake could reflect poorly on the entire brand. Every movement mattered. Every second was measured. Among the staff moving swiftly between tables was a man she had seen before but never truly noticed. Daniel Carter, a waiter in his mid-30s, wearing a clean but slightly faded uniform. Calm posture, tired eyes. The kind of man who worked double shifts without complaint and still managed to greet guests with quiet respect. Daniel wasn't loud. He didn't try to impress anyone. He simply worked carefully balancing plates, checking orders twice, and quietly fixing mistakes before anyone could complain. Isabella observed him from across the dining floor. "Table 6 needs immediate attention," she said sharply to the floor manager. Within seconds, Daniel stepped in, corrected the issue, and apologized to the guests, even though the mistake wasn't his. That detail caught Isabella's attention. He didn't shift blame. He didn't argue. He just fixed it. Later, as the restaurant began to empty and the final guests left satisfied, Daniel moved toward the service counter. Exhaustion finally visible in his posture, Isabella approached him directly. "You're Daniel, right?" she asked. He turned immediately. "Yes, ma'am." Her eyes briefly flicked toward the kitchen, where leftover food was being sorted for disposal. "What are you still doing here?" she asked. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then spoke carefully. "I was wondering if it's okay to take these 2 pieces of chicken home." Isabella raised an eyebrow. "To go. Orders aren't allowed from leftovers." Daniel nodded. Quickly, "I understand, I just wanted to ask." Something in his tone made her pause. It wasn't entitlement. It wasn't greed. It was hesitation, like asking cost him something. She studied him more closely. "You want leftover food from a luxury restaurant?" Daniel lowered his gaze. "It's not for me." That single sentence changed the air completely. Isabella's expression shifted slightly. "Then for who?" Daniel's voice dropped softer. "My son." A silence fell between them, heavier than the noise of the entire restaurant. The silence between Isabella Grant and Daniel Carter stretched longer than it should have. Around them, the restaurant staff continued their closing duties, plates being cleared, chairs stacked, soft conversations fading into background noise. But in that moment, everything felt distant. Isabella studied him more carefully now. A single father, a waiter in a luxury hotel, asking for leftover chicken not for himself, but for his child. "Your son," she repeated slowly. "How old is he?" 7, Daniel replied quietly. "He usually waits for me after my shift ends at my sister's place. She tries her best, but things are tight right now." There was no self-pity in his voice, just honesty. The kind people rarely spoke in places like this. Isabella glanced toward the kitchen again, where perfectly plated food was being thrown away, food that cost more than what some families earned in a day. Then back at Daniel. "You work 2 shifts?" she asked. He nodded. "Morning. Deliveries. Evening here." A pause. "And still not enough?" she asked, softer this time. Daniel gave a small, tired smile. "Never really is when you're raising a kid alone." Something in Isabella shifted, though she didn't show it immediately. She had spent years evaluating employees based on performance, efficiency, and discipline, but none of those metrics explained the exhaustion standing in front of her. or the quiet dignity in his eyes. She looked at the chicken trays, again. Then, back at I say den. Him. How long has it been since you had a proper meal with him? She asked. Daniel hesitated, then answered honestly, a few days. That answer lingered in the air. Isabella slowly exhaled. For the first time that night, she wasn't looking at a waiter. She was looking at a father trying not to fail his child. She turned slightly toward the kitchen manager. Pack it, she said firmly. The manager blinked. Ma'am. Pack the chicken, she repeated. Both pieces. Then she looked back at Daniel. Take it home.